Hello everyone. I'm Shalini Singh, Assistant Professor in Department of Commerce at GIMS Engineering Management Technical Campus, Greater Noida. So today we are here for the lecture of subject Income Tax Law and Practices. As in my last lecture, I discussed about the meaning of income tax, the types of taxes, SSC, person, assessment year and previous year. So in the last class, as we discussed, income tax is basically a tax which is paid on the earnings of the people. The income tax is basically paid for the welfare of the state. Now today we'll discuss about the books of account or the documents which income tax department asks to maintain from every individual. Let's look at the maintenance. Basically the books of accounts, which includes like vouchers, receipts, are required to be maintained under different statutory laws. So Income Tax Act needs these books to be maintained. So books to be maintained or retained period and compulsion requirements are different under all the different laws. Like in GST also we maintain some books. In Companies Act or Act 2013 also we maintain some sort of books. So in all these three acts, the requirement for maintenance of the book is little different. So in Income Tax Act we have to maintain some important books. So income tax law makes a mandatory requirement it makes a mandatory requirement for businessmen and professionals to maintain the books of account as per section 44 AA and rule 6F. So basically income tax law, it has made it mandatory for the businessmen and professional to maintain the books of account under section 44 AA and rule 6F. Let's see what type of professionals or businessmen have to keep the record of the books. Number 1, a person carrying on a specified profession would be required to maintain the books of account if his or her gross receipts are more than 1,50,000 in the previous 3 years. Specified professions under section 44 AA and rule 6F of the Income Tax Act includes the professions such as, now these are the few professions who need to keep the record of books, which are legal, medical, engineer, architectural, accountancy, technical consultancy, interior decoration, authorized representative, company secretary and film artist. So these are few professionals who need to maintain this record of books of account, so that if they are earning any income, then they can pay a proper tax on these incomes. So maintenance of books and documents is mandatory under the income tax law. Second, if we talk about the business, so as per section 44 AA subsection 2, it is mandatory to maintain the books of account in the following cases. Now let's see the cases. Number 1, in case of income from business or profession, books of accounts must be mandatory maintained if the income exceeds rupees 2,50,000 during current year, or if the total sales or the turnover or the gross receipts exceeds rupees 25 lakh in any one of the previous 3 years. So if the income is more than 2,50,000 or 25 lakhs, then, or the gross turnover is more, total sales or your turnover is more than 25 lakhs in any of the previous 3 years, then we need to maintain the books of account. Number 2, where in case of any new business or profession, if the income is expected to exceed rupees 2,50,000 or the total sales or turnover or gross receipts are expected to exceed 25 lakh. Similarly with the new business professions also, if the income exceeds 2,50,000 or the total sales or turnover exceeds 25 lakhs, then also we need to maintain the books of account. If the SSC is covered under section 44 AD and section 44 AE or section 44 ADA and has claimed his income lower than the profits or gains deemed under section 44 AD and section 44 AE or section 44 ADA respectively in the income tax return. So these are the few cases in which in the business or profession where the books of accounts need to be maintained mandatorily. So specified books of account to be maintained as per rule 6F is, now we need to talk about the books which are mandatory to be maintained. So they are cash book having day-to-day cash transactions, journal according to mercantile system of accounting, record of all cash receipts and payments which show cash balance in hand at the end of the day or at the end of each month, and carbon copies of the bill or receipts of more than 25 rupees in value issued by you must be kept. Then carbon copies of the bill of expenditure or more than rupees 50 in value which is incurred by you, that must be retained. A ledger should also be maintained. So these are the books which needs to be maintained, that is cash book, ledger, journal according records, record of all the cash receipts and payments so that we can show a proper cash balance. Then carbon copies of all the bills and bills of receipts and expenditure which we have made, that bills should be in blueprint copy, like you can say a carbon copy of those things should be kept along with us, which is very much important. A ledger should also be maintained. There are further requirements for those taxpayers who are involved in medical professions, for example physicians, surgeon, dentist, pathologist, radiologist, etc., to maintain additional books along with the books mentioned above, such as daily cash register in the form number 3C with the details of the patient, service rendered, fees received and date of receipt, details of inventory of the drugs, medicines and other consumables used as on first and last day of the previous year. So these are the books which needs to be maintained, and depending upon the income, what should be the level of income where the books of account needs to be maintained. So number one, if we talk about business, income more than 1,22,000, it is a profit. So their normal provisions applies and books needs to be maintained. So three columns I have made: taxpayer, who are the taxpayers, profit or loss, whether he is generating profit or loss, applicable taxing section, so what is the section which is applicable here, and the last column is whether that particular individual who is in the profession needs to maintain the books of account under section 44 AA or not. So in case of business, more than 1,20,000, it is a profit, they need to maintain under the normal provisions of income tax. Business, if the sales turnover gross receipts exceeds 25 lakhs, then also it is a profit and normal provisions, so books need to be maintained. Business less than or equal to 25 lakhs, then also we need to see that there is a loss of profit, but under section 44 AD there is no need to maintain the books. And similarly, below also you can see, if the business turnover is less than or equal to 2 crores, then also, though it is a profit, but we do not need to maintain the books of account. Then in case of profession, if the gross receipt is less than or equal to 50 lakh, under normal provisions books needs to be maintained. So these were the few professions where the books of accounts according to their turnover, the profit needs to maintain the books of account. Now let's talk about the capital receipts and revenue receipts. Now what do you mean by capital receipt or revenue receipt? Basically, a capital receipt is not liable to tax unless specifically provided in the act, whereas a revenue receipt is not exempted. Means capital receipt is not, it is exempted from tax, we can say it is not liable to be paid to tax unless and until there is a specific information related to it, whereas revenue receipt is taxable. So a receipt is taxable if it is of the nature of income. If it is of the nature of income, then it is taxable. but receipts which are of capital nature are generally not taxable. So the basic scheme of income tax is to tax income, not the capital, and similarly to allow revenue expenditure, but this general rule is subject to certain exceptions. So as I said, so a revenue receipt is not exempted unless specifically provided in the act. Further, capital receipts are to be charged to tax under the head capital gains, and revenue receipts are taxable under the other heads. So the act does not provide exhaustive definition of income. So thus differentiation between capital receipt and revenue receipt is not easily made. However, now let's see, if we talk about based on number of judicial pronouncement, the following principles are worthwhile to note. That is, number 1, receipt in lump sum or in installments. Whether any income is received in lump sum or in installment, it will not make any difference as regards its nature. For example, an employee is getting a salary of rupees 10,000 per month. Instead of this, he enters into an agreement to get a sum of rupees 3,60,000 in lump sum to serve a period of 3 years. So the receipt where it is monthly remuneration or lump sum, the lump sum in 3 years, it is a revenue receipt, because here I am like the employee is earning for his services, whether he is attaining in lump sum or in installments, but it is a kind of revenue receipt. Second one is nature of receipt in the hands of recipient. So nature of recipients, like whether a receipt is capital or revenue, will be determined in the hands of person receiving such income. So no attention will be paid towards the source from which the amount is coming. Salary, even if paid out of capital by a new business, will be of revenue receipt in the hands of employees. So salary which we receive, that is a revenue receipt, because that is paid from the company and we are earning because of our services. Third one, accounting treatment. The name given to the transaction by the parties involved or its treatment in the books of accounts may not alter its character as the capital or revenue. So accounting treatment is not different for in both the cases, because whether it is capital or revenue, it will be treated in accounting. Next is income from wasting assets. So profit from capital which is consumed and exhausted in the process of realization, for example royalties from mines and quarries, is taxable as income regardless of the consumption of capital involved in the process. So income from wasting assets, it is a profit of that profit which is generated from the capital and it is consumed. So the process of using that is taxable. Next is magnitude of receipt. So magnitude of receipt, whether big or small, it cannot decide the nature of the receipt. So magnitude of receipt is like depending upon the size of the transaction, if you cannot define whether it is revenue or capital. Then time of receipt. The nature of the receipt has to be determined at the time when it is received, not afterward when it has been appointed by the recipient. So at the time of receiving the receipt, it is necessary to define the nature of that receipt. Next is quality of the receipt. So quality of receipt, whether whether the income is received voluntarily or under any legal obligation, it will not make any difference as regards its nature. So quality of receipt is like whether you are receiving in a form of salary or you are investing in a form of capital, it depends upon the individual. But the firm which is receiving or giving the money, that doesn't define the nature of that particular receipt. Then test as to the purpose of keeping an article. If a person purchases a piece of sculpture to keep a decoration piece in his house, if sold later on, it will bring capital receipt. But if the same sculpture is sold by an artist, it will be his revenue receipt. So test as to purpose of keeping an article, it depends upon you whether you want to keep it and later sell it off. If you later sell it off, then it will be a kind of capital nature, but if it is sold by an artist, then that will be a revenue for the artist. Next comes the instances of transactions which are capital in nature and they are specifically taxable. So these are the few transactions which are capital in nature and they are taxable. So number one is capital gains arising from the sale of capital assets being defined under section 2 subsection 14 subsection 4 subsection 45. So the capital gains which arises from the sale of capital assets. So capital assets we can call as land, building, machinery. So these are the assets which gives rise to capital gain and they are taxable. Then second one is compensation for termination of service or modification in the terms of service. So if compensation for the termination of service, if you have been terminated from your service by the employer, then or there is a modification in the term of your service, then that part is also a form of capital. So but that capital is taxable. That is defined under section 17 subsection 3. Third one is compensation or any other payments due to or received by the person specified under section 28. Any type of compensation which needs to be paid to you or any other payment which is due, that is also of capital nature and that is taxable. That's all for now. So in this class we discussed about the books of account which is necessarily needed to be maintained by the professions of business professionals, so that for the proper taxation, because it is mandatory in the income tax law to maintain such books of account, and because to keep the taxation process easier. And we talked about capital receipt and revenue receipt, which is taxable or not, which type of receipt is taxable and which type of receipt is not taxable. So that's all for today's class. Thank you.